everybody, welcome back to Boys on Film, where we cast our critical eyes over the latest movies and TV shows. We are covering the BFI London Film Festival 2022. I am Phil Marriott. Joining me is Raj Rudolph. We caught you in a hotel.
Hey Phil, how you doing? Yeah, I'm traveling about, but still watching movies in the meantime.
So we saw the Triangle of Sadness movie. So a satirical black comedy, written and directed by Ruben Östlund. I think he marks his English language film debut, a feature film debut, because I think his last film was Swedish. I think it starred Elizabeth Moss, the last film he did. He's not familiar to me at all, this filmmaker.
Yeah, I haven't really, first time I've really heard of him as a filmmaker as well. But if he made the wise choice of casting Harris Dickinson in one of the leads, I'm definitely there.
You have a bit of a thing about Harris Dickinson. Let's discuss this. Is it his acting credentials? Is it his talent? Or is it just because he's a bit of eye candy? Or both?
We're a bit of everything. So, everything that I've seen him in has been really good. The only thing I really didn't care for his performance was in that TV show Trust. But I think he was kind of miscast in that role. But as far as his features, I'm definitely a big fan.
Because we saw him in a film a few years ago. It must have been 3 or 4 years ago. Was it Water Rats? I can't remember what the name of the film was.
Beach Rats.
Beach Rats, that's it. That was a really good movie. And he's done really well over the last few years. I mean, obviously, he's more high profile, isn't he? Because he started off doing a lot of indie films.
Yeah, he's a bit of the it boy right now, if you ask me.
So also starring in this is Charlbi Dean, who I think passed away in... It was the summer this year, wasn't it?
I had no clue.
Okay. Yeah, she died recently, so it's her last movie. And Woody Harrelson, who we know obviously from his career. I mean, he's been making films for so many years. My favourite vegan, one of my favourite vegans, along with Joaquin Phoenix.
I wonder if he was a vegan when he was eating that burger and chips on the ship.
I did think that. Did you notice he didn't actually touch any of it, though? None of it went in his mouth. It just sat on the plate there. So I'm thinking that that's definitely a beef burger there.
Well, I wonder if it came out of his mouth.
Yeah, there's a lot of that in this film. So it follows a fashion model celebrity couple who's Charlbi Dean and Harris Dickinson. They are invited to join a luxury cruise. Actually, don't they win a prize? Or are they there just to cover it on their social media?
They're really a set of influencers, and both are models. You got that really funny line of Balenciaga, H&M.
There are a lot of laugh out loud moments. Obviously it's satirical, so there is a message throughout this film. I mean, obviously we'll touch on that as the review goes on, but it's the last film that Charlbi Dean starred in. I said, she died this August, so it was recently. The director said that the film is a wild satire against the world of fashion and the uber rich, with appearance as capital and beauty as currency as the underlying themes. So we certainly got that message in this.
I mean, it definitely hits it on the head, absolutely. I think the whole film was structured really just to make fun of, the uber rich and how ridiculous they are, and how ridiculous, being social media influencers are these days, just by literally turning it on its head. And what happens when you turn things on its head? The ugly shit comes out in all orifices. So.
Absolutely, and we see a lot of that in this. Without spoiling it too much, obviously we have to talk about the premise. I mean, the premise is them on this ship. What happens on ships is stormy seas, and there are stormy seas in more ways than one. I mean, it's a bit of a metaphor in this film. But yeah, we see a lot of projectile vomiting, and like you say, coming out of the other end as well. So those scenes, I would imagine, were quite difficult to shoot. I mean, obviously a lot of it is set.
Who knows, but kudos to the director. That couldn't have been an easy shoot to shoot on a ship, you know what I mean? But he shot his shots. So.
Yeah. Well, according to the actors, he did as many as 23 takes for each scene. And once you've seen the film, you can totally understand why.
Yeah, those poor actors.
I mean, you were laughing, I was laughing. I did find it funny. It was 2 hours and 20 minutes. The only criticism I've got really is that it did fall apart a bit at the end. I thought it was a little bit baggy towards the end, whereas the first I don't know, 2/3 of it were quite tight and there was a lot going on. I think the last part of the film, it did feel a bit drawn out.
It was a very smart film because it's divided into 3 acts, really, and even the last act is quite tight. I think for me it was just that the ending that kind of left it open to interpretation. I'm not a massive fan of that. I kind of like to see what's going to happen. Kind of like, 3 Billboards. I don't like that sort of really open-ended ending. I want to know what happens, but I kind of wish that there was another 20 minutes onto the film so we did find out what happened. So, whereas people would have been like, oh no, cut 30 minutes off of it, I just really wanted to know how it all ended up. Because the final end scenes were a bit rushed.
Rushed, definitely. That's a really good word to describe the end of it. I mean, Dolly de Leon, the character that she plays, was really clever the way her character kind of came to the front at the end. There's a shift in power with the characters, and obviously, that's part of the storyline. It's quite a serious message, despite there being a lot of laughs in this film, which I thought was really interesting because it does take a bit of a serious turn towards the end. Even though there are still laughs there, it does become a bit more ominous.
But it does ask the question, without money and influence, who are we? Who are we as people? So, it's the skills that we don't value in everyday life that are actually the most important. So, in terms of sending a message and having a clear sort of ethos of what this film is about, I thought it was kind of brilliant. Actually. Yeah. I think we need more films with this sort of message because it makes you think a little bit. After the movie and the next morning, I was still thinking about the message of this film.
Yeah, and I would imagine director's job is done. I mean, I thought the performances were really good. Like I say, it made me laugh.
It definitely won me over. Definitely not one of the best films of the year, but an important one, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I did enjoy it. I found it compelling. It was an interesting film to watch. So for final verdict, then, I think I'm going to give it a very strong 3 stars.
I'm going to have to agree with you. I mean, if we were doing like 3.75, I'd give it a 3.75, but 3. Very strong 3 for me.
So it's Triangle of Sadness. It is set for release here in the UK on the 28th of October. You can catch it at the BFI London Film Festival if you're able to get tickets. I'm imagining it's sold out now, though.
Look out for it for me.
Good to see you, Raj, and thank you everybody for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We've got plenty more reviews of the films at the BFI London Film Festival, so check out the place on the screen, and we'll see you on the next one. Let us know if you're going as well, and let us know if you've seen this film. Comment below.